Hello, Kevin here with Kevin's Way Works. So I have a weird one for you guys today. Something that you have never seen before. You have never seen this on YouTube. You have never seen this on the internet. I know because I searched and I searched and I searched, and this is nowhere to be found. So I have 3 air conditioning systems in my house. Each condensing unit has a sound deadening cover over the compressor. And I never realized how much those quieted the compressor until I removed one while I was looking for a leak. Turns out that leak was upstairs in the evaporator coil, and I didn't record it. I should have. It was a really cool fix. It's aluminum coil, and I actually brazed that one to fix it. So anyhow, when I removed that mat from the compressor, all the foam on the inside just disintegrated and just fell out everywhere. So here's that soundproof cover. And you can see it's got this real heavy tar-like coating on the outside. That's a real thick mat. And this probably in itself does a lot of soundproofing. But without that internal membrane, it doesn't do as good of a job. So, as you can see, that membrane is completely gone. Anyhow, that's what we have right now. And a little more information on this. And I didn't know this, but you can actually buy those soundproof covers online. They have universal ones that you can buy, and you can place over the compressor inside of your outdoor condensing unit. You got to be careful when doing that because you have the fan on top usually, and that fan can hurt you. So you got to make sure that you disconnect the power to it. So there's usually a disconnect right next to the unit. You pull that disconnect, and you also can make sure you turn off the breakers to it. And that way, the fan's not going to be spinning, and it's safe to work on. So if you do have problems where your condensing unit outside is really loud, so a lot of times they'll be outside someone's bedroom window and they'll be really loud, or they'll be against a wall that is near a bedroom or a living area, and they can be really loud. Some of them are super loud. Like I can hear my neighbors from 300 feet away, and it's way louder than mine when standing right next to them. But for some of them, it's normal. For mine, even without the mat, they're pretty quiet. But with the mat, all you can hear is the fan blowing. And when you get to a certain distance, maybe 10 feet away, 20 feet away, that fan noise is pretty much gone. You can't hear it at all. So this video has 2 purposes. Number 1 is to tell you about those sound deadening mats that you can buy if you have that problem. Number 2, we're going to fix mine because I'm not spending the $150 to buy the replacement one that is made for my particular unit. So now I could go and buy one of those universal ones I was talking about, but they're still not super cheap. And to fix this one, I only spent like 30 bucks. So let me go ahead and show you what we're going to do, and we're going to get this thing fixed. So first things first, I have this roll of foam. So this foam is 3 feet wide by 4 feet long. So I can use this on all my units and still have some left over, and this was only 35 bucks with shipping and tax. Now you can't just go out and buy any foam. You have to have a foam that's high temperature that is made for this type of use because the compressors can get pretty hot. So this foam is rated at negative 297 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is well within the specs of an air conditioning compressor. So this is probably the same foam that they used originally inside of these sound deadening devices. So this is a 1/2 inch thick, as you can see. It's about a 1/2 inch thick, which should be perfectly fine for the application that we're using it for. And I believe the foam that was originally in these was also a 1/2 inch thick. So we have our foam, and that's awesome, but we need a way to fasten this foam to the inside of that sound deadening enclosure. And for that, we're going to use 3M Max Strength Contact Adhesive. And the reason we're using this is because it's heat and moisture resistant. Has a really good bond. It is easy to spray, and it has a nice adjustable spray pattern. I can't remember the specifics on this. We'll probably have to look it up online, but this is more than sufficient to handle the heat. Plus, you think about it, the heat is going to be on one side of the foam. The other side, where the spray adhesive is applied, is going to be a much colder temperature anyway. But this exceeds the temperature readings that we need for this. So those are the two things we're going to use. We also need some scissors or something else to cut this. So let's go ahead and get that sound deadening shell up here, and we'll get it prepared for this foam. Now, I don't know how brittle these are. They're probably not super strong. I can see that it has a fiberglass in it, which is probably to hold this rubberized, it's some type of thick, heavy black substance. And like I said, in itself, it probably deadens sound pretty good. But as you can see up here, the way they construct this, they actually sew it together. And they had the foam glued onto this already, and then they sewed it all together in one. So they had some type of big industrial sewing machine that put this all together. Obviously, I don't have such a thing. We're not going to take the stitching out. We're going to use what we have, and we're going to make it work. So this has a round top, and then it has a flat side that is rolled up and sewed together. So let's go ahead and get this measured up so we can get our foam cut. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the outside shell first. We'll get that cut up, we'll get it glued in, and then we will measure up for the top round piece, and then we'll get that pushed up and glued into place. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to get a tape measure. We're going to get this guy measured up. All right, so what we are going to do, we're kind of going to draw up a rough shape here. So we've got our top, and then we've got our cylinder, right? Pretty much a cylinder. If we can figure up the diameter of this, we can, and the length, so we need to know the diameter and we need to know the length. We can pretty much calculate everything from there. So it looks like 9 3/4 inches. 9 3/4 inches. Let's see if we can get this length. So let's measure this. 17 inches exactly. Inches. So now if you go and you buy yourself one of these, you're going to need to measure the diameter of the compressor, and you're going to have to measure the length of the compressor from top to bottom, and you want to make sure you get one that's going to fit that. So a lot of them that I've seen are kind of loose fitting. That's fine, really. If you just set it over the top and it's loose fitting, it's going to deaden the noise pretty much, and it's going to be pretty significant. So that's what we got to work with. So now that we have that, we can take this, we can take our circumference, 9.75 times 3.141592, blah, 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 times pi. We're multiplying this times pi. So pi times diameter is equal to your circumference. So 3.14159 is probably good enough, times 9.75 equals 30.63 inches long. We're going to go, that's going to be the length of the foam, by 17 inches. We'll call it wide. So now that we know those, we can go and we can, two things we can do. We can get some paper that's that big. we can cut it up. We can then make sure that we are correct in our calculations, or we can just kind of guess that our calculations are correct. If you don't want to guess, you want to make sure that you're right, what you can do, and let me turn this other way because my lighting is on this side. What you can do, you can take yourself your tape measure that's kind of floppy. This one's floppy. You can take it, it's floppy, but it's not very floppy. And you can wrap it around and you can verify if your measurements were correct. So we come out right around 31 inches. So our calculations are correct. And we know that we're correct this way because we physically measured it. So now what we can do, let's go and cut a piece of foam that's 31 by 17 inches. Actually, before we do that, let's do one other thing. Okie dokie. So I don't know if the camera picks it up. This little black stuff keeps coming off this mat. And what that is what's left over from the foam on the inside. So I actually did have to, and I've already done this, I took a brush and I brushed off all that foam. However, there's still some on here, and I'll show you basically what I did. So I just took this brush, I just went over it like so until most of what's in here came out. So that's done. I don't have any blower or anything with me. I'm just going to brush this off onto the ground. Brush it off. I'm going to take my high temperature foam. So I've got this piece of wood. Let's go ahead and get 17 inches marked out. I don't know if you can see 17 inches. Let's see if this will cut. Oh yeah, it cuts pretty good with the razor blade. So there's that. And then we'll do the same here. I know, guys, this is a weird video. But, guys, Kevin's cheap. And I didn't get to where I am by spending all my money. So, I am cheap. You guys should hear my wife, my friends, and my family. Why don't you just buy a new one? Why don't you just pay somebody to do that? Guys, Kevin's cheap. All right. Kevin's cheap. He's not going to waste a bunch of money when he can do it himself. That's why we call it doing it Kevin's way. Because there's always a way to do it, and Kevin's always going to find the best way to do it. Well, the best way to do it to save Kevin money. So let's take our razor blade. Just be careful. This one's not inside of a knife. Hold it at a steep angle. That's your best way to get a good cut. Try not to hold it at an angle this way. Hold it at an angle this way. So we almost cut all the way through. So I'm just going to hold this up in the air so I don't cut through my workbench, even though my workbench is already messed up. Alrighty, there's that. Let's go ahead and roll this up because we're going to use it on our other compressors if we ever need to. Let's get this cut to length, about 30. Let's cut it about 30. Let's cut it at 31 because I just want to get the extra length off of this. So let's mark this at 31. So 31 is actually up here. Thought something wasn't lining up right. Still good down there. Whoa, sorry about that. Actually, we don't need this. We don't need that piece of wood now that we have our straight edge. And we can verify with our straight edge that we're pretty good right there. And look how far this is off. Is this on camera? 6 3/8, 6. But you know what? It was only $27.55 before tax and shipping. And I think shipping might have been free. If you're working on a good table, put something under it so you don't scratch it all up. All right, we have that cut. Let's go ahead and get some spray adhesive. Actually, before we do that, let's test it out to make sure it fits. Let's see what we got. This is gonna be fun trying to glue up. Trying to get it to glue without everything getting stuck to itself. This is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be crazy. It's probably a little too long because we measured on the outside, and you actually lose probably a couple inches. I mean, I can tell you right now, 9 inches. So like I said, this was rough. Let's see what we end up with. So if we do 9 inches times 3.14159 is probably good enough. 28 1/4 inches. So we're actually about 3 inches too long if we go by that, which is kind of what we're figuring out right now, is we're about 3 inches too long. Maybe 2 inches too long. So we're about 2 inches too long, which is fine. We're learning here, but I think this is gonna work good. Yeah, this is gonna work good, guys. Gonna work good. All right, so I think I'm gonna cut 2 inches off. This should be 2 inches wide. So it's 2 inches wide. Problem is I'm not left-handed. Start on this side. Cut that extra 2 inches off. All right, let's go ahead and get some spray on here, some spray adhesive on here. Let me read the instructions. Oh my goodness, why did they make the directions so tiny? Shake well before using. So here's the problem. I broke my good glasses. So now I have these reading glasses that are 1.0s, and I can't read that. Bonding range, 1 to 10 minutes. Select spray pattern. Whoa, it has a width. It has a spray pattern width too? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could adjust the width. I thought it was just the angle. Allow to drive until tacky, and then apply sufficient pressure to ensure complete contact. All right, it says to put 1 to 3 coats on. Let's go ahead and put a piece of paper down. Let's do this. Let me shake this for a bit. All right, let's go ahead and spray this. Oh, come on. Are you serious? Whoa. I'm not really sure. It has different markings. It has one. Okay, so basically this is a tight pattern, this is bigger, and this is even bigger. So it rotates, the head rotates this way, and then you can rotate this around to change the direction, I believe. So we'll go with the bigger pattern here. Alrighty. Let me see how long you gotta let that dry between coats, because that's gonna need probably a couple coats. And I got some on my thumb. My thumb is sticky now. Guys, Kevin does the craziest stuff. 1 to 2 even coats. Allow it to dry until tacky, then apply sufficient pressure. I don't want to touch it. It's still not tacky. Guys, my hand can barely hold it. Whew. My hand got tired. Guys, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a bucket. I'm gonna use a bucket to hold this shell. I think it'll work easier if we use that bucket. So I wonder if we put this in the bucket, if this will make our life easier. You know what I'm saying? I think it will. Oh yeah, I think that'll help out tremendously. All right, let me see if I can glue this. Yeah, glue doesn't spray upside down apparently. Oh, that's all right. It actually works out pretty well. You know what? I bet you we could go over to our stream. Oh, look at that. That works good. Arm gets tired quick. Okay. I think that's good enough. What do you guys think? Kevin does crazy stuff. This is crazy, guys. This is like super crazy. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to even it up with the edge of this Velcro or hook and loop. There's no telling what brand it is. So we'll line it up here and then we'll come around and work it into place and then we'll cut the excess off. Ah, my thumb got stuck to it. So I don't know if this will stick to itself. Let's see. Kind of can roll it up like so. Well, it helps if you roll it up the right way. Roll it up the wrong way. I meant to roll it up this way. Gotta roll it up this way. So basically I'm rolling it up. Oh, don't touch. Rolling it up like that. And then we're gonna stick it down in here. And we're gonna slowly work it into place like so. This stuff's probably not sticky enough yet, but we're gonna go with it. It'll tack up. It'll tack up just nicely. Sorry, is my head in the way? Sorry. Sorry, guys. Just make sure we're down all the way. I don't feel like I went down all the way. Kevin's crazy. Kevin's crazy. I know, guys. Yes, I know. Kevin does crazy stuff. Look at that. Like we knew what we were doing. A little high over here somehow, but it's all the way at the bottom. Anyway. Like we knew this is all hard and brittle over here. Yes, sirree, Bob. We did it. Let me get you some light inside of it. Can you see inside? We did it. We did it. Can you see inside? Here, let me get you some light. I know it's hard to see inside because of the black. But there it is. So let's take it out. Whew, I'm sweaty. I'm all sweaty now, guys. You made me do some work. Got me all sweaty. All right, so what we have to do now is cut this excess off. If you want to, you can also go work it around. Make sure, like anywhere you might not have got enough glue, like down here. If you didn't get enough glue, here, let's put a backer on it. So oh my goodness, that was loud. That was a little loud. Little bit of extra glue right there. We're gonna get a little bit here in a second. But what we're also gonna do while we're here is we're gonna cut this excess off. We'll spray a little extra up in here too, like so. This is a little hard to cut because the razor blade's kind of sticking to the glue as you try to pull it through. There it is. I don't know if we have to go all the way, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. Let's go ahead and see if this is ready to be adhered. It's good, it's good, look at that. A little bit there, a little bit needed up in here. Doesn't spray upside down. Let that dry for a little bit. While that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and just trim up this little extra on the bottom. Kind of follow the outside shell pattern, like so. If you want, you can try to use scissors. Just don't use the good kitchen scissors, or sewing scissors. If you sew, or if you know somebody who does sew, they will not be appreciative of that if you use their scissors. It's funny, my mom would yell at me for using the fabric cutting shears. And then they would turn around and take my loppers or my tree trimming clippers, and they'll use them to cut metal wire, like the wire for crafts and stuff. And they'll just ding it all up and down it, and then it's I'm in trouble for it somehow, even though it was my tool that they used. I swear, guys. That is. So the first bunch, I don't know, it lasted 15 years. Well, I don't know when it actually started to disintegrate, but it's been over 15 years on there, and then I decided to check for a leak down in that area, and then found they were all disintegrated. Alrighty guys, I think that's good. So that'll all go back together, and it'll Velcro in, and then it will hold tight up against itself where that Velcro is. And we will have sound deadening again. Yes, sirree. All right, well, now we have to cut out this. We have to cut the center out. We got to make a ring and fill that with a ring. So let's go ahead and measure that up. Let's make it 9.5. We'll kind of stuff it down in there so it holds down real tight against itself. So we'll make a 9.5 inch circle out of the foam we have left. All right. See if we left enough. Yeah, baby, look at that. Look at that. Like we knew what we were doing. Almost like we knew what we were doing. Close enough. We're going to put a little spray on each end and on each side. Probably should do this in a well-ventilated room. It's kind of stinky. Kind of stinky. I'm going to stick those together. And I'm going to try to get some down inside of this. Probably can if I hold it this way. Like so. There it is. I think you can see that. All right, let's let this dry. Let these dry for a few minutes and I'll be right back. Now you can test this to see if it's tacky by touching the overspray, and this is still liquid. Oh, and be careful. I reached down in there, I got it all over my arm hairs. I need to see what the solvent is for this, see if I can get it off. Now you can speed up the dry time on this by using an air blower of some type or a fan or something, and it'll just help evaporate out the solvents. Grab yourself a little fan. I usually use my DeWalt blower. All right, guys, what do you think? I think it's tacky enough. So let's go ahead and stick these guys together. Like so. I still feel some moisture in this. It's still not dry enough. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and adhere this in here. So I'm just gonna kind of bend it in the middle. And I'm just gonna start working it down around the edges. Down around the edges. See how I kind of got prematurely stuck, which is okay. We can make it work. We'll fit it down in there. We're gonna fit it down in there. There it is. Let's get some light on there just to make sure you guys can see it. Does the camera pick that up? I know, it's hard to see because it's black. Hopefully that'll pick it up. I'm just kind of rolling the edges under where they stuck to the sides, which actually is not a big deal because the compressor's curved on top anyway. But guys, I think we did it. I think we did an excellent job. Saved ourselves $100 at least, maybe more, for just one. And once you do all three of them, you've saved yourself a lot of money. Alrighty, guys, let's go outside and get this guy installed.
Girl wheels got help in my search in the crates of the way, so they